On road, Dan. Will Mucker. Dan Walls.
With a beer.
Yeah, so basically it's just sort of a bit of a chat, bit of a question about the people in different areas of work, people that have come from basically where I came from and done well for themselves in a different area of work, and the links between the two, obviously music and tattooing. Dan is a music sound engineer. He's worked for, is that the right word for it?
Yeah, sound engineer. Even broader term would be an event technician.
Yeah.
But I specialise in audio and dabble in other sides of events.
Yeah?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it for?
As a self-employed person, only actually about 5 years. But I've been practicing audio for probably double that, like 10 years.
Yeah, you've always done it, as long as I know you, right?
Yeah, I mean, when we were working back in BT back in the day, I was going to TJ's and shadowing some of the engineers there. So I've always known pretty much since I was in my early 20s, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
But it has been a long path, 10 years to, it's only really been the last few years that I can say I've been more or less where I want to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, I've got a couple of questions here written down. Like a set list, almost.
And when they're first.
So, basically, set list and why won't you give them to me?
To you?
If I'm a fan, I'm a band, obviously, we have a laugh and joke that, people ask for the set list after,
This is a long-standing joke, not just with you, but with everybody that I know that works in the music industry. And I'm known as the guy that won't give out set lists at gigs. There's two reasons really. The one thing is from a personal aspect, I just don't get it. I could firmly say that 95% of set lists that get given to people at gigs will be in the bin within or in some pile of other crap within a couple of days. I think it's just like this tradition that people think they have to go, and so I personally don't get it. The other aspect is that when I'm working a show, I might have been there at 9 o'clock in the morning. And I've been working all day. I've been putting up with, some difficult people through the day. There's a lot of people.
It's a nice way to put it.
Well, no, I don't mean punters. I mean
I
mean crew. Like some touring crew. There are a lot of guys out there with egos who think that they need to speak to people a certain way to get what they want. And in fact, with me, you're going to get the opposite. Actually,
is that people that have been doing it a long time and they think they have the right to speak to you like that? Or?
It comes from both sides of it, actually.
Yeah.
Like you get people who are really long in the tooth and kind of grumpy about what they do. They've been doing it a long time, and I think they do it because they feel they have, they just don't have the time to not be like that. The other people are the ones that are just out of school. Right. And they've seen this from older guys, they've dealt with it, and they think that's how you should act. You know what I mean? So going back to the set list thing, you might have come up against quite a few obstacles as well, not just from people, but from technical issues, and it takes a lot out of you, and they're long days. Like I said, I might start a day at 9 o'clock, and the gig doesn't finish until 11, half 11. And all I want to do is get packed down and go home.
But that's when your work starts, I guess, when everyone else is going home.
Well, because it can to back down a show can sometimes take 2 hours, maybe more, which doesn't sound like a long time. But when I've been there for since 9 o'clock, and the last thing I want to do is really the gig's finished now, and it's time for you to leave. Your ticket doesn't say an event and a souvenir. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's it though. They just want a souvenir, don't they? From.
I think the last aspect of it is that it's the way I get asked a lot. You are because gig finishes, lights go up, the security is trying to get everybody out, and then you're rushing on stage and you're trying to get everything done as quickly as you can because you want to get the touring crew out there as well. They've got a gig at 9 o'clock the next day and they might have to drive for 5 hours, so you're trying to get it all done. And then you get some guy like, "Oh mate, and then when you say like, "I'm sorry mate, I'm busy," and I mean some bands actually don't want them given out. That's the thing as well. They might have laminated copies of this, so they have to keep printing them out. So I say, I'm sorry, it's not mine to give out, and then you get attitude of people, and it's just kind of
no, you don't need that, do you?
Yeah.
So working on the road with bands, because you went on the road with, was it Collapse with?
Yeah,
Facts, was it?
I did a European tour with Collapse back in 2012. So yeah, that was supporting Anthrax.
It's a big deal, like.
Yeah, that was the first time I'd been to Europe with the band, and yeah, certainly really eye-opening. And you know, fair play to the band. You know, they were getting paid very little. They were spending a hell of a lot more than they were ever earning on that tour.
Yeah.
And that happens to a lot of bands.
Yeah.
You know? I don't think people realise.
No, you don't. Like, that's not a thing you would know really, that you have to invest to get back. Like.
Well, especially in that area, because that was a heavy metal act, and I don't know if it's still a thing these days, but back then they had what they called buy-on tours. So you.
No way.
So my friend's band paid somewhere in the region of £20,000 to go on tour with Motorhead. You know.
You don't think of that, do you?
No. So they actually, that's before they earned anything, and not only that, they were restricted on how much they could sell their merch for. Like, they couldn't sell it any cheaper than Motorhead.
Right.
So if, like, not being funny, if you got a Motorhead gig, you're a die-hard Motorhead fan. People don't go to see Motorhead that don't like Motorhead.
No.
Or didn't. And so if you got like some opening band, even if you like them, if you've got to pay the same money for their t-shirt as you would Motorhead, you can buy a Motorhead t-shirt.
Yeah.
So they weren't making money back on merch either, and it's really hard.
Yeah, it does sound to break into it, definitely, you know. Well, there we go, that's an untold truth right there, so that was my next question. Apart from being asked the set list, what's the most annoying thing you've been asked while doing sound engineering?
Annoying. I mean, you know, there are a lot of armchair audio enthusiasts in crowds, and you know, I did have we've got a term in the industry called dadager. So that's a dad who is a band's manager, and one of them came up to me and said, do you think we could get more 50k in the vocal? Now, I actually turned to him and I said, have you brought your dog with you? Like, because humans can hear up to about 20, so 50 is quite far away from that.
No way.
So that was pretty funny. I wouldn't say maybe annoying, but it's still a funny story, I guess. I mean, it's a weird one because, like, audio and you know, people's listening experience is totally subjective, and so yeah. But I think you do get some people who, mate, I do a bit of sound engineering, and it'd be like somebody coming up to you and saying, you know, well, mate, I've drawn some pictures, and I think that you should.
Loads of times I've seen people out at a gig. Yeah, I'm a tattooist.
But
really?
I don't dismiss. If people, I will listen. You know, I might not necessarily take any of it on board, but you know, I will listen, and you know, if I think they've made a valid point. I mean, there are a lot of engineers out there who mix for themselves and not for the crowd. I see some engineers when I'm working in housing venues where they never leave the mix position. You know? So. How do they know what somebody over in the far corner if they're hearing the same thing that?
Right, so you go around and check out everywhere.
I'll have a walk around. I mean, there are some instances where you can't. You know, there's just like sold out shows, and you know, you would take if something went wrong, and it would take you minutes to get back to the position. Like,
plus, it adds the amount of time and the amount of people that can ask for set lists if they spot you there. Don't leave the booth. Don't leave the booth. All right. So, do you have any? Because obviously, I know you as Tattoo Dan. You know, played in a band. We both did 909 calls. Is there any sort of like regrets from personal musician experiences? Like, you know, so I don't know. Did you ever want to join the Lost Prophets? It didn't. And then they're gone. Like, you did. No. Massive Lost Prophets fan. Like, cut that one. He's going to be quick with the kids though. And I definitely can't cut that. So personally, for band stuff, did you ever wish you'd gone into more the artistic side of it rather than the technical side of it?
Well, I mean, when I first left school, I went to college and I did a performing arts course. So the idea was that I was going to be a working musician. I mean, I've played in bands, but they've never really been that serious. You know, you've really got to like meet the right people who all have the same goal and who are all willing to work equally for it. You know, a lot of the bands I was in when I was younger, there's a lot of people that just wanted to mess about and not mention
So have you found? So have you found that now with your band you're at the moment with?
Yeah. I mean, I'm currently playing in 2 bands. So I've got Big Willie and the Disappointments, which are like a rockabilly band. Oh, it's all covers, but the good thing about rockabilly is that not a lot of people know rockabilly songs unless you're again a diehard enthusiast. So you can play covers and people don't have a clue. They just think it's original music. The other band is JC's Hopeless Sinners, which is a new venture for me. The band itself has been around for about a decade, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But it dissolved after a member left, and we just kind of we've reincarnated it in the last few months, and that's going really well. I mean, we've off the strength of one video just like this that we recorded in a bedroom.
Was that the same one?
Yeah, it wasn't a bedroom, sorry, it was a living room at a guitarist's house, and we put that one video up, and the response that got, from promoters that used to book the Sinners in their old lineup and stuff, and we played Boomtown.
Oh right.
What
was that with those?
That was with the Sinners.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, we. So I mean, I my personal music career really had to go on hold for me to progress in what I do now, and I'm probably making a lot more money than a lot of musicians are.
Yeah.
Doing what I do.
Well, yeah. Again, that's an untold truth, isn't it? Working behind the scenes can be, in the long run, because not many bands sort of make it, and not a lot of people know that. Well, they should know that.
Yeah.
The dream is dangled in it. The carrot's dangled in front of people that you can be a rock star, but 90%, 95% probably don't.
Yeah, I mean, even with with bands and with the work I do, it is really down to who you know. It is about networking and getting yourself out there. There are a few key moments in my career that got me where I am now.
Yeah.
And
do you know those key moments as well? Can you go, that was that?
Yeah. I mean, I was working. When I left uni, I didn't really know what to do to get into the industry. I emailed companies doing audio saying, can I come and work for you? Can I come and do voluntary work for you?
Yeah.
But I was working at Domino's at the time delivering pizza because that was my student job.
Yeah.
I met a guy in there who was renting out a small sound system to nightclubs and stuff, and then we both ended up working in the first venue I ever worked in was Coca Gorillas in Cardiff. And
went there, me and the horse, wasn't it? We came there, it was good. Whose birthday was it?
It was my birthday.
Was your birthday? That's right, I remember. Yeah.
So just through that chance meeting of that guy working in Domino's, I got a job there, and I mean, it was a bit of a weird one because I walked straight into basically running sound, lights, even stage management, and dealing with bookings as well for the venue. But that wasn't going to go anywhere. The guy who was running the place had no passion for music. It was just I've got a room and you can rent it out and I can do something in it, and that was it really, and that's why it failed. And I knew that, so I took a job at the Students' Union doing crew work, which in a respect was kind of a step down from what I was doing. I went from mixing bands to just loading their gear in and building stages and donkey work. I've got great respect for stagehands and stage crew, having done it for a couple of years.
Yeah,
it is hard work, and they do take the brunt of a lot of the touring crews' behaviour. But then while I was working there, I met a guy again who was doing small sound rental work, but then he quickly built that business, and just through taking that job in the union and meeting him and some of the other audio professionals as well, the people that were renting out the PAs to the union, which are 1,000 and 1,500 cap venues, and all of those people started giving me work once they could see what I could do.
Well, so you saw big picture, didn't you?
Yeah, I always try and think about, I'm always trying to learn. I mean, the audio is something I don't think people who've been doing it for 50 years know everything about it.
Is it more of an art than science, sometimes?
It's definitely both. I've always approached, or I did always approach it from a kind of more artistic view because I was a musician first who became an engineer. So, I didn't necessarily know how to use all the equipment, but once I learned to use it, I knew how to make the thing happen that I wanted to happen. You know, like for me, I'm always like, what does this sound like? Not what does my desk tell me it sounds like. Do you know
Right,
what
so
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah, yeah.
I think a lot of people, I mean, when they go into a show and they mix a show, they're like, oh, well, you need to do this and you need to do it. No, you don't. What you need to do is listen and then make a judgment and work on that. You know, whereas you don't go in and there's no preset for a good sound.
Right.
You know, there's so many variables.
What works in one place doesn't work in another place.
Yeah,
Same
exactly.
band, different band.
Exactly.
Oh, cool. So the links between tattooing and the music business, obviously you've always been Tattoo Dan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but there's a lot of people called Dan. I knew a lot of Dans. He was the most heavily tattooed Dan, so he had the nickname Tattoo Dan.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see any links with, especially like the newer people coming through? You know, is it, you know, you got yourself a guitar and then you get yourself a sleeve or a neck tattoo? Is that how it?
I mean, there are definitely links there. I mean, back in the day, like it was only bikers and sailors that got tattooed, and bikers, you know, were predominantly into like heavy metal music, so it was always associated with that, you know, with like rock and heavy metal and stuff. Whereas now, like tattoos are so, you see such a broad range of people because it's like kind of become a lot cooler to have tattoos. You know, it does
socially acceptable, you know.
Exactly, yeah, and more workplaces are more accepting of it and stuff. So, I don't know.
Just a link. Have you seen a lot more bands that, you know, straight away have got massive coverage?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I mean, I think, you know, if they're doing well, then they've got the money to go out. Because I mean, tattooing is becoming ever increasingly expensive as far as I can see.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, there are artists out there charging £250, £300 an hour or more.
Yeah.
You know. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I think it's pushing people to go towards quality tattoos. And I mean, I do see a lot of road crews I work with, you know, there'll be at least one or two of them have got tattoos, and a lot of the artists as well, because I think it's a fashion statement, isn't it? You know? It kind of, I mean, say Travis Barker, for instance, is like known for his.
He's more known for his tattoos than his music. Sometimes, isn't it? You know. So we've touched upon your ongoing band stuff. So future for Dan Walls? Where does he see himself going? You know, not in 5 years, but you know, is there any sort of pies in the oven? Is there any fingers in those pies?
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing is, like audio engineering is going. Well, it has been going for quite a while actually. More towards kind of like you have to kind of be an IT expert as well as have a good set of ears on you and know how to use a mixing desk.
Well, is the technology changing as well? So you have to keep up to date with the new stuff that's out, or is it pretty much?
I mean, it always is, and you know, my main goals for the next few months are to get more involved in system tuning, which I've got a fair idea of how to do because again I've always used my ears to do it, but there's software out there that smart that tells you exactly. You put a mic in the room, you put pink noise through it, and it tells you what's happening in the room. You actually see it on a screen, and not that you can rely on it completely, but you know, there's a skill in using that software to get a result. And so I want to get more involved in that side of things because again, you know, for me it's just about seeing how I can keep my work going and more, you know. Funny that we were talking about these microphones. I was interested in what bandwidth they were transmitting on, an RF radio frequency work is. I think if I knew more about that, there is definitely at least one more position at one of the companies I'm in that I could get to. You know, done a lot of work this summer as what they call a patch engineer, which is essentially just plugging things in. But it's a very important part of the chain because if you get it wrong,
you mess one.
Yeah,
you might have not plugged this in. Hopefully, I'm praying that that doesn't happen. So, have you got any advice to up and coming, not musicians kind of thing, but for people that want to do what you do?
For engineers, I mean, if you're just coming out of uni, then just go to gigs. Just go to gigs. Listen to how bands that you like have been mixed, and you know, make mental notes of it. If you can, try and talk to the engineers. I think it's the same with bands as well. You know, just put, it's all about, as I proved with, you know, my anecdote. You can meet people that will influence where you go in the most random of places.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, just keep learning as well. Like,
Yeah. Never think you know everything, I suppose, isn't it? That's so basically what a tattoo is, you know. Once you think you know it all's over, isn't it? I guess so.
Yeah, I mean, I spend at least 2 or 3 hours a day just reading like theory books. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
If
cool.
I've got the time.
I didn't know that. That was good.
Yeah.
That was the untold truth.
Yeah, I mean, like I said to you earlier, you know, even 50 years down the line, I don't think I'll know everything.
Yeah.
About audio, and you need to have a very broad skill set as well. I mean, I think there'll come a time where I'll need to become more of a what they call an AV engineer. So doing, you know, like I got put in an AV job once that the client had a PowerPoint presentation. Now, I've personally never used PowerPoint my entire life.
No, it's
So
a dated thing, isn't it?
Yeah, so I didn't know how to use it, and like I didn't go down very well with the client, and so I don't really get booked for AV jobs. Not that I mind that, because I got into this for music.
Yeah.
So, but it's good to definitely have like a broad skill set.
Yeah.
But you know, obviously, you still need to specialize in something, you know, and make it the thing you love. And for me, it's rock and roll and music.
Yeah. No, it's cool, man. It's cool that you know, you found a career that you love doing. Like, you know, I mean, how many times have we been out, like on my stag do? You know, we went in to go into a club, and it was like, you don't want to go in there, mate. I was like, why? Why don't you want to go in there? Nah, just trust me. He's like, you didn't want to go on your high horse, but you were like, listen, it's not for you. And we got in there, it was terrible. Like, he was right. Yeah, so I know Dan from the BT days, working for 999 calls. A lot of experiences on that. We hit it off. Just good that we stayed in touch. You know, there's certain people you do and certain people you don't.
Yeah.
You know, I trust his judgment on loads of stuff. So I'm buzzing the fact that you've done really well for yourself. Hence why I've asked you to come on Gone Rogue. You know, Dan Moore's Gone Rogue. Is there anything you want to add to your, you know, to your time today kind of thing? Is it like a don't do drugs, kids? You know, don't eat yellow snow. What's but in a nutshell, like, you know, you're not a key to life. Key to life. What's your happiness for Dan? Like?
You know, I mean, the very reason I'm here is because you see that I've got somewhere that I wanted to be doing something that I love, and I think there are so many people out there that are unhappy in what they do. And going back on the, you know, advice to young engineers or people just starting out, you will spend a lot of time where you don't earn a lot of money. You probably have to have another job while you're doing it. I certainly did.
Yeah, I did, yeah.
But you've got to just think big picture and think, you know, there will come a day where, you know, it's you know, I make a breakthrough, and you don't know, it could be, you know, 1 year, it could be 5 years, but just keep at it. And yeah, I find it really hard when people don't really know what they want to do. I find that
floaters,
just
float through life, living for the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, if you're happy doing that, because that's ultimately what I'm trying to say, is that just do something that makes you happy. Because it doesn't matter how much money you earn, you know, it's never gonna, you know, if you can make a lot of money doing something you love, then that's great. You know, I mean, I'm certainly doing okay. I wouldn't say I'm like rich, but
no, but you're happy with what you do, isn't it?
Well, that's it. I don't I don't get up and dread going to work.
No,
and I think a lot of people do.
What is it? If you're happy with what you do, you never work a day in your life, isn't it?
Well, that's it. It's quite funny that people sometimes don't. When I tell certain people what I do, they don't necessarily see it as a job. You know, they kind of like.
Are they jealous of that though, as well? Especially when you tell them how much you like what you do. Is it? Oh, it's alright for you.
Yeah, it's funny actually. I actually had an experience like that the other night. I went out in Cardiff, and some guy actually turned to me. Was kind of like a friend of a group of friends, and was like, "So, why are you so happy? What did you do?"
Why are you so happy?
Yeah, he did actually say that to me, and I was just like, I said event technician, you know, because it kind of is a broader term, and he was just like, "Oh, so what does that mean then?" And I was like, "Well, if there's an event," and he went, "Oh, so you're going in technician it, do you?" And I was like, "Pretty much, like, you know," and he was like, but you could see that there was a kind of a hint of jealousy there. And you know, if you want to be jealous, it's fine. But what you should really, if you're being jealous, there's no problem. You can be jealous, but what you got to do is act on it. You know,
In the right way.
Yeah, in the right way.
In the right way, yeah. See what they've done to get where they are, and then go, right, how can I be that guy?
Yeah.
What can I do what he's done?
How can I better
get
myself?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I mean, I am certainly not at the top of my game by any. You know, I really would like to do more European tours, maybe even get out to the US.
Nice.
You know, do some stadium and arena gigs. You know, because the level I'm at now, the biggest kind of venues I do. I mean, I work in house. The biggest one I do is 1500 cap, which is a Great Hall at Students' Union.
Yeah.
And then when I'm touring, it tends to be smaller. It tends to be like sort of 500 to 1,000 cap venues. So yeah, I mean, some of the festivals I've been working obviously have been like 45,000 people at that. But that's been the work I'm doing is kind of the groundwork.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than being like.
Well, you've also worked with was it Craig Charles at these sort of festival stuff and Jazzy Jeff of the Fresh Prince.
Yeah, I did. I worked with Craig Charles twice. He's absolutely amazing guy. Really, really friendly and approachable and funny. Who's the other person you mentioned? Jazzy Jeff. Yeah. I worked with him. That was quite a funny one actually, because he played 2 sets on the same day. One was in the bunker in Bristol, and then it was only a 45-minute set, and then he brought like a lot of his own equipment with him. So we set that up. He played in Bristol, and then we drove to Cardiff. But me and the promoter had to like beat him to Cardiff, so we're doing like 120 down the motorway.
Allegedly.
Yeah,
allegedly 120.
Yeah.
Broken speedo line.
Down to Soda Bar in Cardiff. Set up his gear before he got there, and then he did another 45 minutes.
Oh, cool.
And that was it. Like, yeah, that was pretty insane. I didn't really get to talk to him much. He had his entourage with him. And, you know, had a sort of a road crew and whatever, so I just worked with them, and then he came out, did his thing. But
that's cool though, man, isn't it? It's cool that you get to do stuff like that, and you never know what's in the next 6 months, the next 6 months after. It could be someone else, it could be, you know, the network of people from one group to the next. You know, I guess if you shut those avenues off, you shut possibilities off for other stories like that, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I've worked with other people like Craig David. I don't know whether I should say this. It's in his rider. You might have to cut this out, but it's in his rider that no one is to mention Kestrels.
Not mention what?
Kestrels, you know, like, come here,
Kestrels. No way! I thought, I don't know why you said that. And I was like, what? Brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So yeah, I mean, it's actually gotten to the point now where I don't get really like sort of starstruck. Craig Charles I did because like I was a massive Red Dwarf fan.
Dwarf.
Yeah, so I did get a little bit like, you know, and I met Adrian Edmondson at a festival as well.
Cool.
And again, being like a massive fan of the young ones in Bottom. I got a bit. That was actually the first festival I ever worked. I met him.
You text me there. You text me saying that happened. Right, that was cool.
Yeah. So, but I don't tend. It doesn't. You know, I've been doing this, like say, sort of professionally now for about 5 years, and you kind of get over that starstruck thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, I mean, there are bands out there that are so big, and they've got so much money to spend on their production that will do what they call virtual sound checks. So they'll have recorded last night's gig, each channel individually.
Right.
The engineers come in and play that through the system and tune the system and the mics to that.
Oh, no
so
way.
the band actually don't come out and do a sound check.
Oh, no way.
You know, that's the thing as well.
Learning there, see?
Yeah.
Always learning.
It's like, you know, for me, I don't think it's a good practice because you're not hearing what...
Well, they could be different, couldn't they?
Well,
if their voice levels were different, could you know,
exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's. I guess it gives you a reference, and it means that the band spend less time working because, you know, gigs, even just playing like an hour or two set every night, if you're on tour for like 6 months, like it will take it out of you and the travelling.
Yes, if you're trying to cut those little hours out, or half-hour testing bit.
Yeah, exactly.
I suppose they all make big things. Yeah, that's pretty much. That's a good chat, like, you know. It was way in depth, like, you know. I learned stuff today, kids don't do drugs. Basically, what he was saying, like, okay. Yeah. Thanks for coming on, mate.
Thanks for having me, mate.
Yeah, that was buzzing, like, love that. Thanks very much. Gone Rogue, episode 2, done. Fucking, I can't sit still, mate. There's something wrong with me.
Yeah?
There's something fucking wrong with me. I'm fucking like that. Ah!